Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Sun Up on 7. It's Monday, and you know how we do it on Mondays. We take those hard questions, those hard topics, those controversial ones, with the point of, getting different perspectives on a topic, enlightening you in certain things, and at the end of the day, be thought provoking, be change makers. So today we're going to be touching the topic of abortion in Belize and the court rule that happened in the U.S. The Roe versus Wade court rule as regards to abortion has sparked quite a global outrage and discussion when it comes to abortion rights, when it comes to women's rights. So today, Kyla Siego from BFLA joins us to have this conversation. Kyla is joining us via Zoom. Kyla, good morning.
Hi, Kev. Hi, Renata. Good morning.
Hi, Kyla. Good morning. How are you feeling today?
I'm good. It's hot already, but it's good.
Yeah, I love it. Or you're in Dangriga right now, huh?
Yes, I am.
Awesome. Good morning to you and your family and all the folks in Dangriga. We're ready for have this conversation. So we're talking. What's the situation like of abortion in Belize? Can you start by enlightening us? What is the legality of it?
Okay, so a lot of people believe that abortion is 100% illegal in Belize. It's not. So the criminal code outlines like the legal purview of abortion in Belize, and so the legislation is there. You can go and read it, and it speaks to what abortion is, what is miscarriage, what is child destruction, and all of these criminal offenses. So abortion is criminal. It's an offense in Belize. It's a person can be charged once there is proof, and they can be convicted and all of that for abortion. And essentially, it's illegal unless, right? So the law says unless two medical providers are of the opinion in good faith that continuing the pregnancy would cause harm to the life of the pregnant woman, if it's going to cause harm to her mental health, if it's going to cause harm to her and any existing children of her family. And that's very interesting the way how the law puts that. This pregnancy would cause harm to her and the existing children of her family. So that one is always most often interpreted in a socioeconomic context, like looking at the affordability to raise this other child. And the other criteria speaks to if the pregnancy continues, the product or the child would have any kind of malformations, a deformity, or be severely handicapped. So under those grounds, then an abortion can be performed.
Okay, and it's with the approval of two medical practitioners.
In good faith, right?
It's with the approval of medical providers, yes.
Wow. So how about cases of rape or incest?
Is there anything in the law that allows or disallows when it comes to abortion?
Right. So the words rape and incest are not within the legislation. However, those would be covered under the psychological aspect in terms of the mental health. Because, of course, a woman being raped or a female being raped is a traumatic experience.
Yeah.
So to be able to have to carry a pregnancy that's the result of a rape, essentially could affect one's mental health, similar to, experiencing incest. So while the legislation doesn't say that, particularly, it is covered within the scope of the mental health impact of the woman that the pregnancy would prevent, or that the pregnancy would cause, rather. Mm-hmm.
Okay, Kyla. So can you help me out here? I'm trying to picture myself like a scenario, and maybe you can speak on how BFLA has gone about within a circumstance that might lead somebody to have an abortion. Can you describe a situation to us, and what did BFLA do in the manner of supporting a female that was contemplating abortion, maybe was trying to find means on how to go about doing it, just to put it like in realistic terms for our viewers to understand.
Right. So COVID in 2020 really caused quite a bit of harm in terms of our social safety, in experiences of gender-based violence of women, being locked at home, essentially having to participate in undesired sexual activity, children who have been sexually assaulted during this period. And so for any number of reasons that a person comes to access or inquire about abortion services, it's essentially because they have something internal to them. And really, our role as a healthcare provider is to help them to understand the range of their options, right? So when someone wants to access an abortion service, it's not okay, come in, you're pregnant, let's confirm this pregnancy and then get rid of it. That's not how that process works. So there's always a phase of counseling where, the service provider, one of our service providers would talk with that person. In the case of a minor that comes with their parent, or it's a parent who is seeking these abortion services with them, then we would speak about, well, what are all of the options, and trying to ascertain for them to understand what this procedure is, what the implication of the procedure is. And then, of course, they decide if this is something that they will do or if this is something that they will not do. So we have women reaching out because they've been, they got pregnant from unwanted sexual intercourse. They did not originally consent to that. They're pregnant. They are not in a capacity to carry a pregnancy emotionally, mentally, financially, not able to do that. Some persons, they are in school, and so it's not something that they can engage with at this time because it's going to severely affect their own life goals and trajectory. So there are several reasons that a person comes with, and we always take that approach in helping them to understand all of the range of their options, and then ascertaining then which procedure is best for this person if they choose to go proceed with an abortion.
Thank you so much for that, Kyla. I want to go into now the morning after pill, and let's talk a little bit about the time frame in which people can take a morning after pill, and then go into the realms of an abortion. Is that considered an abortion? Because I know there are many people, especially younger girls, that don't understand what abortion really is, the definition of it. What would that be in the sense of morning after pill, and then go into the definition of what an abortion is considered?
So abortion essentially is a termination of pregnancy, right? So there's induced abortion, which means that you're doing something to force the pregnancy to end, or there is the what we call the miscarriage, which is the uninduced one, which is just naturally, right? So your body is naturally rejecting this pregnancy, for whatever reason, and it's happening. So people tend to more find it acceptable for a miscarriage to happen than for someone to induce their own abortion. And there is also a difference in terms of what is safe abortion. And I think, the issue that we have is that when we talk about abortion and all of the stigma that we place around it, then it makes it more difficult for persons who need it to access safe abortion. So safe abortion care is the care that we get in a medical facility by trained persons using approved methods, right? That could be medication or that could be vacuum aspiration, as against going to a local bush doctor, they drink sour herbs or they try drink Fanta, and those things are not, they don't work, or they don't do a complete abortion. And the other thing that you mentioned rightfully, Renata, is using the morning after pill. The morning after pill is not an abortion pill, right? So it will not stop a pregnancy. What it does, and if somebody has unprotected sex, right, they have within 72 hours to take this pill that it's most effective. Yeah, the sooner you can, the better. And essentially what it does is, it works in a combination of ways. It prevents you from ovulating for that period. So we know if you're not ovulating, then you can't get pregnant. And it prevents the walls of the uterus from helping the zygote to implant, right? So once the egg from the woman and the sperm from the man have already fused together, it creates what we call a zygote. And then that travels to the uterus and it implants itself so that the pregnancy could start. So the morning after pill then prevents you from ovulating, so no egg to come out in that first place. And it also, creates some impact on the walls of the uterus so it can't implant. But if it's already implanted, by the time you take it, then it won't take it off, or it won't stop the pregnancy, So that's important to clear up. And thanks for saying that, because we always have to explain, the purpose of the morning after pill. It's preventive, but once the pregnancy has already implanted, it won't do anything. It's not an abortion pill.
And on that same note, Kyla, of time frame, because you mentioned 72 hours for the morning after pill. Let's talk a little bit about now when you are trying to carry out an abortion or so forth, or you're on the looking at the time frame of when it's becoming medically dangerous to carry out an abortion, as well as when it becomes illegal. Because abortion, as you mentioned, it isn't fully illegal based on certain terms, but you can also have life imprisonment for abortion if it's not under the terms that Kyle had mentioned earlier in this conversation. So could you talk a little bit about when it becomes illegal and also when it becomes medically dangerous for a woman to carry out an abortion?
Right. So, in talking about abortion, people say it's a baby, it's whatever, for us, it's just the products of the uterus, right? And medically, viability, which means this product is able to live, this fetus is able to live, once it's about 22, 23 weeks already advanced, right? And that's divide that by 4, that's almost 6 months. I could be wrong, but
so you said
about 22 weeks.
22? I do it for you right now,
yeah.
I divide for we.
So that's viability, right?
5.5.
Which means that the 1 second.
They call it forget that information about the abortion to right now, girl. But we did try to get it for
right,
you now.
Which means then that the fetus would be viable, right? It could live outside of the mother. But an abortion, if you're doing the medical one, which is using pills, right, it's not advisable to do that once the pregnancy has passed about 8 weeks, right? So just about 2 months, because then what that does is it forces the uterus to contract and to expel the fetus. And so dilating the cervix and all of that. And so it can't be too big or else it would not be able to fully pass through the cervix. And it really just feels like a very heavy period, right? A heavy menstrual flow. So there's the use of the pills, which not more than 8 weeks, 10 weeks, a person wants to be doing that. And then the vacuum aspiration process now is the more surgical process, where you kind of allow for more time for that to be done. If I'm not mistaken, I think even within the criminal code, it outlines somewhere around, I think about 28 weeks. I'd have to confirm, but about 28 weeks under which this could be done. And if it's past that, then, it's illegal. And so time frames are important, because even for persons who sometimes as a woman, you're not able to detect that you're pregnant until you're already a month in, or 6 weeks in. If you have irregular menstruations, it's even more difficult for you to detect that you're pregnant. And so by the time you get the sense, you are already 6 weeks, 7 weeks, or maybe even, I know some persons are already at their first trimester before they realize that they're pregnant. So the timing is important, and that has to be confirmed like through an ultrasound. We've had instances where women come in and they say, well, I just realized that I'm late and the pregnancy it's further along than they've said, which puts them at risk, right? If we use a method that's not approved for the time that the pregnancy already has progressed.
Kyla, thank you for sharing, those practicalities when it comes to abortion. I am curious about your position as a woman. You're a mother, right? Also, so what is your stance when it comes to women advocating for abortion rights? So because there's a thing of pro-choice, pro-life, but a lot of people, like especially men, are giving opinions about how women should go about governing their bodies. So why is it
Right.
important for women to take ownership of it? And again, making the fact that you're a mom, so it's not like, oh, she's not a mom, she has no idea what she's talking about
Yeah.
if she were to ever get pregnant. But you have gone through this process of pregnancy.
Yes.
You've also spoken to young ladies too as well. So you even have that background hearing all those stories. I'm sure you've had at BFLA, knowing the circumstances of people wanting for various reasons. So when you speak, can you please even use those backgrounds to gear how you're answering this question? Because you come with so much wealth of knowledge. So I'd really want to hear, like Kevin said, your opinion on this.
I mean, I think for someone, and I've said this, several times whenever I'm on TV and we're talking about pregnancy or anything like that, for someone who got pregnant as a teenager, right, knowing what that feels like to be terrified, absolutely terrified, not anticipating that this would happen, and having to deal with the real reality that, oh my God, I am pregnant and I am not ready. And so, like I've said countless times, that the deciding factor for me was really the support of my family. And some people don't have that. But if 19-year-old me didn't have that either, then I would have also possibly been scrambling to find out how I could fix this, right? And so in terms of, I could relate to the women that are scared, the women that don't know what to do, the girls that don't know what to do, and they're trying to find out, how can I get the help that I need? And they're afraid because of all of the judgments and the stigma around this. But in terms of looking at your question, Kevin, as a woman, I do believe that it is my right to choose, right? So I am pro-choice, and pro-choice does not mean pro-abortion. It means that I support the right of the woman to decide whatever she wants to do, whether that's to keep a pregnancy or whether that is to end a pregnancy. And I think that's
Or
important.
even to decide to
women,
get pregnant, right?
Huh?
Or even to decide if you want to get pregnant, even though if you're in a relationship.
Right.
Yeah.
So, because that's also a part of your sexual and reproductive right to decide if you want to get pregnant or not. And I think women definitely need to take an active role in this, because all our lives, men have been the leaders. And so we've progressed, from being shackled to having the right to vote to, being able to take up public office and all of these things. And so we have to continue to claim these spaces that we could also be a part of the decisions when it comes to what happens to our bodies. Because the Supreme Court in the US, that who did it, a man? The persons here that created our legislation around abortion at that time, it was males. So they could never understand what it feels like to be pregnant, what it feels like to not know what to do, to have to hide to access services, the stigma you have to go through to access it. They don't know, right? And so as women, and wherever you sit on the fence, morality-wise or whatever, you have to be conscious that, everybody is different, and it's a part of our right to have access to healthcare, because that is what it is,
right,
whether you are in approval or not.
I thank you for giving us, your take on it. What I'm also curious now. So a lot of people are arguing that a fetus is a baby or is a child, when in reality, I think language is very important here. But at what point does the right of the fetus come into play, or does the fetus have any right?
I mean, Kevin, I think globally, I'm not sure if that's ever established.
Okay.
For me, until you are born, until you are a person, until you exist, then the rights apply to you, right? That's just my own personal, because when a woman is pregnant, then, she's the host. It doesn't exist on its own. It has a host. And so the rights belong to the host until this product is living on its own, So that's how I see that situation.
Okay. All right.
I want to ask also, Hala, as you look at the atmosphere that we have in Belize, I know it's different from the US completely because, of course, it's still illegal to carry out abortion without specific grounds, as we have established, so people could understand. It's not fully illegal, but based on certain grounds, you can carry it out. And Kyle, again, if anybody's just tuning in, you can go back and check out all of these different grounds that you can be able to carry it out with. Anyways, on that note, I want to say, if you feel in your, correct sense of thinking and analyzing this situation in Belize, do you think we're at a point, or we get at a point in any amount of years to have maybe, and I would say to a female politician, because I don't know about a male politician kind of vying for this, but a female politician kind of pushing the right for abortion to be something that is legalized in Belize? Do you think that we would ever get into that?
That's funny, because some women upheld patriarchy too.
Yes,
So,
exactly.
That's because a female politician.
But be honest, Kev, do you really think a man would come out? Because we've had so much, majority of our cabinet, our House of Representatives made up of males. So if we're supposed to have a male come up and say pro-abortion in the sense of just giving people the right to choose, it might happen by now. So that's why in my mind, I'm like, I think it would be more of a woman-driven initiative where a politician come in that is a woman that understands the circumstances and would want to choose that too as well. Because majority of them are males. So if it was an idea from a male, it might happen by now.
Right.
I mean, when we look at, the major political parties in Belize, do we even know what their position on abortion is? Has that ever been articulated? To me, they're almost one and the same, because we don't know where they stand on certain issues. What is the position of this political party as it relates to this? What is their position on abortion, on LGBT rights, on, youth development, on, health, and all of these things? That it's not articulated. I think that one of the things I am seeing is young women who are taking their spaces, who are very much interested in governance, who are more liberal, who are more attuned and respect the rights of women, Renata. So I honestly feel that years from now, it's going to be a woman that's going to champion this, because, Barbados, Guyana, abortion there is fully legal. Like, there's no restrictions.
Kyla.
And while countries might have those liberal, it doesn't mean that their abortion rates are high. Contrarily, it's rather low, because when you have safe abortion care, then you are protecting women. When you restrict abortion, you are making it more dangerous, because we are still doing it, right? And so the risk is even greater. Kev, you were saying something?
Yes, no, I was gonna share with you that last Friday we had leader of the opposition, Shine Barrow, here, and he said that he believes that women should have rights over their bodies. But again, it all boils down to what the party and the cabinet decide as it moves on. So, but definitely some kind of leadership is important in moving headway towards.
You need an idea.
Yeah.
Point blank, when you think about these things, you need someone to have the idea initially, and then when you have that vision, then you have people come in, chime in, and then of course you would vote in the cabinet. So yes, of course, I do understand that it's something voted on by the cabinet, but you still need the stem of an idea for somebody to believe that this should be something passed, this should be something revisited.
Right. Because they also have to build support within the cabinet, within their party, that other persons will support it,
Exactly. You have to be able to fight for it and say, why X, Y, and Z, or why not X, Y, and Z. So, again, the idea needs to be there. But we just want to thank you so much, Kyla, because I feel like the conversation, it started up just allowing people to understand the facts of what is the situation in Belize, so people can know exactly when it comes to just the time spans, where what are the grounds in which you can get an abortion,
right.
That it is illegal, but underneath certain terms that people could understand, I also understand in the language of having not rape or incest included in, but you saying that it can also go underneath the mental health.
It can be accommodated, yes.
So even that, make you think, okay, how do I vibe through? Let me look at this thing and let me understand it better. But thank you so much for all this information,
Thank you, Kyla,
and for sharing, your own perspective as a mother too as well on this, so people can get a different feel. I know there are people that have different opinions on when it comes to abortion. That is okay. We can disagree, and that is fine. We can live our very good, jolly life, because at the end of the day, everybody has the right to their opinion. But we thank you so much for sharing your opinion and also the facts, so people can know what is happening.
All right. Always a pleasure.
Thank you.
And with that, guys, we go to our next commercial break. When we're back, we're going to be having you with more conversations on Belize Charity Raffle, how you can be a part of it, and much, much more. Stay tuned.